Hi, this is Roland Pruitt, and this is my Kaiju review. This is show number 18. And we're going to talk about Destroy All Monsters. But let me go ahead and bring up Anastasia and Professor Wallnott. They're my
Hello.
partners in crime here.
Oh, I
Uh,
just love calling us partners in crimes. That reminds me of some things that I was doing back in Romania about 10 years ago that I can't discuss on air. But yes, absolutely. We are associates in the criminal enterprise, but of course, it's all in good fun because what we really mean is that we are here to discuss kaiju. And there's no crime against that at all. And in fact, if you open my files, you won't see a thing, FBI. So just letting people know. But anyways, yes, wunderbar. Let's progress.
wow. That was a lot. A kind of a confession.
No, we wouldn't say it's just humor. It's comedy. Back in Soviet regime, we always we have good humor back then. It's all very dry wit, like Englishmen. Yeah, I'm sure you understand, Professor Walnut.
Oh yes, quite so. Yes, very dry.
like good humor ice cream. Anyway, this
Yes.
movie was actually the 20th science fiction monster kind of film from Toho. It was supposed to be the last one. They were tired of the giant budgets, but they were going to they put everything in, including the kitchen sink, on this one because it was supposed to be the last one. And then it made so much money they decided to keep the series going. So the two movies that we haven't done were Battle of the Planets, I think was one of them, and Gorath, which I've mentioned before, which is more about a giant meteor than anything else. So we kind of skipped over that. We might do them later, but we decided to just stick to the real kaiju films in the Toho canon. And this is the big mamu. This is the big one. All the monsters are in this one, basically. So let's go ahead and start our timeline. There's the Toho logo, and we get the opening screen with the opening title, and they're playing the what's called the Destroy All Monsters March. Dun 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 dun. So they're playing that, and it's very quick opening, very fast.
Yes. Very glittery.
Yeah. And then we get kind of a little documentary or mockumentary, UNSC, United Nations, of course. Not sure what the SC stands for, but
It's like I think it's Space Command.
yeah, you might be right. And they're talking about the X3 spaceship, which is a kind of a this is way before Elon Musk and his spaceships that come back to Earth. These things can go out into space and they come back, so they're reusable. And this one goes all over the Earth too, as well as goes out to the moon and stuff. But then the narrator goes off to Monster Island, which is also part of this organization. It's called Ogasawara Island, and they study ocean life around the island. But on the island, all the Earth's monsters have been gathered up that were attacking Japan. There's a little helicopter going towards the island, and we see Godzilla, and we have a kind of a roll call here, which is really kind of cool. And again, we have Akira Ifukube music. It's one of his best scores. Rodan, there's Rodan, also on Monster Island. Anguirus, also called Anguillus in the American version sometimes. Mothra is in its larva stage. So last time we saw Mothra was in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, and it was the giant moth, but she was dying. So obviously she had a little baby and left it behind, and that's the one that's on this island. There we have Gorosaurus, who we saw in King Kong Escapes. He's kind of like a Godzilla, and look at that, Gorosaurus and Mothra in the same shot, and they're not trying to kill each other.
That is a beautiful shot, I have to say. Just look how cinematic. I mean, I can't believe they thought this would be the last one. Of course, people would demand and clamor for more of this. Look at how gorgeous.
Again, they went back and they got the best team to do the movie. Oh geez. Again, they got Akira Ifukube back instead of excuse me, Jun Fukuda. Excuse me, I'm going back here on my phone. I can't believe I'm having a mind block here. This is killing me. Ishiro Honda, the greatest
Yes.
Toho director of all time, and I couldn't think of his name. Oh my God, fans are gonna kill me. So Ishiro Honda is at the helm again, and again, this is usually in the top 5 of all Godzilla films on people's lists because there's just so much cool stuff going on. So there's Mothra, and they talk about how each individual monster, they have a kind of a deterrent for them to try to escape and get off the island. In Mothra's case, it's this kind of yellowish mist, and Godzilla, yeah, there's like another thing that has like Godzilla repellent, I guess you want to call it. And this is actually Haru Nakajima played Godzilla in the first 12 movies, and he does a really great job in this film. This is one of my favorites of his. He actually like kind of does a little, yeah, damn Godzilla repellent, and then he spins around in slow motion, heads back to the island.
Yep.
So,
Yes, see, there you are. It's like, oh, darn it.
he's very upset.
Boiled again.
On this damn island, can't get off. Damn
Now the only thing that I miss is they have Mothra on the island, but they don't have the little peanuts or the little elf ladies.
Yeah, they don't have the Shobijin. Yeah.
Yeah, the Shobijin.
They're probably off doing a show somewhere, you know. You don't want to put them on an island full of monsters.
No, obviously not. Yes.
They get stomped on. So if it's just like Mothra, then it's okay. But if it's like all the monsters, oh, geez, they got to be fending for their lives. There is a magnetic kind of barrier around the island that keeps Rodan in place, so Rodan can't fly off. And they show Rodan diving into the water to get. There's an abundance of food here. There's Rodan with a little sardine, but that's actually a dolphin. And Rodan flies back to this little perch there, and then kind of a you only live twice. The crater opens up, and the helicopter is able to come in to the main base, and they're watching all the monsters there on the screens. I'm glad that Anastasia is sticking with us for the entire show here. That's nice. She can comment at any time.
Yes. We need to hear more from Anastasia.
I was hoping she would stay for the entire show, so that she can comment as we go. Now, they wear these kind of yellow outfits, and they're kind of kooky. Again, at that time, color TV was big. And, this is 1969. So, like 2-3 years earlier, color TV came about, and all the TV shows, the costumes are all colorful and bright. And that certainly was the case with the movies too, because they knew they were going to be playing on TV. So we meet Dr. Yoshido and his assistant, Kyoko Manabe. And they're checking out what's going on in the main headquarters there at Monster Island, and Kyoko gets a call. She's played by Yukiko Kobayashi. She was in this movie, and she was in Space Amoeba, which is also called Yog Monster from Space. We'll be doing that one in a couple of weeks. She's kind of a looker, and again. This Katsuo Yamabe is her boyfriend. He's the guy that actually pilots the SY-3 spacecraft, and he's calling her just to say hi. He's calling her from the moon. They're on the moon right now.
Right.
And he is Akira Kubo. He actually is, I think he's still alive, the actor. He's played a lot of characters in the early Toho films. He's most memorable for this one because he's the star, And he was also in Son of Godzilla as the photographer, and which we did last week. And he was also in Monster Zero as I think his name was Achiro. No, Achiro. No, he's the guy that makes the noise maker.
Oh
He was
yes,
kind of nerdy, and he was hanging out with Nick Adams, and he made that noisemaker that was driving the key, not the Keylax. That's who's in this picture. The Exilian's crazy. So anyway, he's much more. He's not so nerdy in this one. says our host.
Now, wasn't he also in King Kong Escapes? Wasn't he one of the Doctor Who's henchmen?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of someone else then. All right, never mind.
Nope. No, he wasn't in that one. So surprise. He's in Gorath. He's the star of Gorath too. But again, we didn't do that one. So
that's right.
All of a sudden the screen goes out when he's talking to his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hate when that happens.
I'm sorry. That was not Dr. Yoshido in the earlier shot. It was Dr. Otani, played by Yoshio Tsuchiya. And he's on the island. Dr. Otani. I'm sorry. Dr. Yoshido is not. So the screen goes out, and he's like, "Hey, what happened?" I'm in line with my girlfriend, and everything. The power goes out, which is not good because that means that the defense against the monsters is out. This kind of happened in Jurassic Park later.
When I was watching this particular film, that was my first thoughts. Like, did Jurassic Park take inspiration from this? Because it seemed very, very similar.
Could be. By the way, this episode is brought to you by Sam's Club Water, 20 ounces to slake your kaiju thirst. So we can do commercials on this show if anybody's interested. Okay, we can. So in any case, that's a freebie. So all of a sudden, yellow gas starts coming out of everywhere, out of the vents, from behind the doors. And the team is overcome by this yellow gas. And the monsters are overcome by yellow gas on the island there. So there's kind of this yellow gas going around everywhere, and it's knocking them all out. Rodan gets knocked out and falls on top of Anguirus. So again, the rest of the world is waiting for the cameras to come back on from Monster Island. They're trying desperately to get it back on line so that they can watch, see what's going on. They're worried. There's Dr. Yoshido, played by Jun Tozaki. Again, plays in a lot of these early Toho films. He was also on a TV show, Ultraman Jumborg. He was one of the main characters.
And he usually plays sort of a professor or...
Yeah, he plays a professor or a general in many cases.
Yeah, general, yes.
Wasn't
he a newspaper editor in one of these films?
Correct. Yeah, I think he was the newspaper editor in Mothra versus Godzilla.
Right, that's right, yes.
So he plays authority characters. When the screens come back on, the monsters are attacking the major cities of the world. Rodan has already made his way to Moscow. And that, by the way, is Dr. Stevenson. He is played by Andrew Hughes. This is probably the biggest role he had. He was in a lot of the early Toho films, but usually just his background. He didn't do big roles. This one. Now here's a strange thing. In Paris, under the Arc de Triomphe, they say it's Baragon who's coming up out of the ground, but that's Gorosaurus. It's not Baragon. They both have the same kind of, but actually it is Baragon who's the one who tunnels under the ground. But Baragon has a horn on his nose and big ears, and this is Gorosaurus who's coming up out of the ground, destroying the Arc de Triomphe. So I don't know what the hell happened with that. And I think they make the same mistake in the Japanese film too. And then Godzilla somehow makes it to New York in split second time. And he's attacking the UN building with his atomic breath. So yeah, he's in New York City. XY3 decides to come home. Hey, it's time to go home. The monsters are attacking. Now, the same scenario was used in Godzilla Final Wars In 2004, the monsters just start attacking the world, and it turns out that they're being controlled by aliens. Again, crazy yellow outfits, yellow and silver outfits for flying the flying the SY3. That's Chitaro Togen as Ogata on the right. He's in a lot of these films in the background. Usually, not a big character, but usually he's there. The Toho films. So they get to Monster Island. They don't have to worry about the monsters because they're all gone. They're not there. And they check out the main base. They get inside, and they find that Kyoko and the staff there, Dr. Otani, they've all been taken over by aliens. Aliens are controlling them now. And again, we see more devastation. Mothra is in Peking, destroying trains. Godzilla is attacking New York. And then the Kilax, the queen of the Kilax, played by Kyoko Ai, she tells the world that they're going to take over. And they are controlling the monsters now. And they're looking for a place to stay. And they're going to take over. And we're going to be their slaves. But they're all pretty and happy about it, you know. Hey, yes, we're going to take over, and you're going to love it.
Yes, look at that smile. It's like, yes.
Yeah, kind of sociopathic aliens. So this guy tries to attack her, and he gets zapped. She's got an energy field around her. Gah! Yeah, won't do that again. And again, the yellow gas starts to come out, and they're like, oh no, they're going to try to gas us. And they fight their way out, and they take Kyoko with them, and they take Dr. Otani with them. And there's a guy getting shot in the middle of the head. Again, nice guy. He used to work at Monster Island. Now he's dead. You know, what a waste.
Mm-hmm.
And they got gas masks on their belts. They got like bat utility belts. So they're able to put gas masks on.
This is a rare bit of violence for these kaiju films. I mean, you hardly ever see like an actual bullet hit.
Well, you know, at that time they were like making James Bond style movies,
right? Yeah.
So this is kind of a little bit of that as well, you know. So they take Dr. Otani to Dr. Yoshido. And they're in a hotel, and they're trying to find out information from him. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything that you want. You know, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to turn dime on the Kilax. Come on. They're controlling me. He doesn't say that, actually. But that's what it is. I mean, they're controlling him. And the Kilax don't want them to find out how they're controlling the doctor. So the minute they turn their backs, he just goes right to the window and jumps out in one of the worst dummy, throwing a dummy off the side of a cliff shots ever in a movie. He is so stiff when he hits the ground.
It very obviously looks, it's a mannequin.
Exactly. Just throw a mannequin dressed like him out the window. So he hits the beach, and then some of the guys who are controlled by the Kilax are waiting to take him away.
You know, these two gentlemen must have the fastest feet in the world, because they got down there like,
yeah, that's Dr. Otani
like
and actually and Katsuo. Yeah, they get down there in double quick time.
It's like, wow.
And there's the guys that are controlled by the Kilax. The one on the right is actually the guy that played the first Ultraman, the human character of Ultraman. Ben Hirai played the suit Ultraman, but this guy is the guy that plays, and he's still alive, I think, and he's still a pretty handsome guy, according to Linda Miller. She saw him at a convention a couple of years ago, and
All right, that's the gentleman I was thinking of. That was in.
Yes, he's one of Doctor Who's guys. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, he plays a lot of bad guys in the early Toho films until he got to be Ultraman. In Monster, Ghidorah 3-Headed Monster, he's got like a little pencil thin mustache. He's a gangster. They're trying to kill the princess, that kind of thing. So a big fight breaks out between the guys who are controlled by the Kilax, who are trying to get the body of the doctor, and the guys who are there for the UN, who are not controlled by the Kilax. And they're using guns that sound like space guns. And Kyoko is very emotionless. She's, she just they kind of retreat, but they're not really showing a lot of emotion because they're being controlled, that kind of thing.
And
zombies.
Right. And they become villains because her eyebrows suddenly are all like pointy.
She's got pointy eyebrows.
She's got pointy eyebrows. Yes. It's not as obvious on this photo, but
pointy eyes. She always had pointy eyebrows. So anyway, they do a little autopsy on Dr. Otani, and they find a little thing behind his ear. It's a little tiny metal globe, and it's a transmitter that they're using to control him. And Dr. Yoshido is very interested. And Katsuo is there for it for some reason. I should be filing the SY3, but this is interesting. This is fascinating. So yeah, they check it out and they find out that this is like way beyond our technology. A little teeny weeny tiny transmitter. Yeah, we got this stuff now, but this was 1969. So they got bigger versions of that, like coconut size, for the monsters. These transmitters, they got them all over the place to set up relay stations to control the monsters. So they're finding them in the trees. They're finding them on the tops of mountains. They're finding them all over the place.
Oh, that was funny. Yes, we found one in a coconut.
Yes.
What?
And then they're showing the pictures of the guys that were taken from Monster Island. And again, these guys are guys that are in a lot of the Toho films. They're day actors, day players. And there's Kyoko. So be on the lookout. Now these guys are working for the UN. They see her, Kyoko, but I guess they don't recognize her. I recognize you with those cool earrings. And that's how they're controlling her, actually, is instead of in the back of the neck, they just put her in a set of earrings. They could have done that with Dr. Otani, too, but okay, then it would have been suspicious.
Yeah.
Dr. Otani, we didn't know you swing that way.
Well, yes, well, they're all checking the necks, but yeah, they don't think. So that's why they let her go. Like, oh, well, she's obviously not controlled, but they don't think about
she have a scar on her neck. Let her go.
Yeah.
And this is in Tokyo. And of course, the audience looks at the earrings, and right away they go, "Aha!"
Mm-hmm.
We know. And look at her look. She's so satisfied. She's so happy with herself.
And see how pointy her eyebrows are?
She's got Vulcan eyebrows. She does.
Exactly.
Luckily, she doesn't have pointy ears. They would have looked at the top of her ears to make sure she's not controlled there. And then Rodan shows up. Which is actually Varan's theme. And Varan is in this, actually, in a couple of shots. And then Godzilla shows up in Tokyo, in Sector 1, and Rodan's in Sector 2. And then Manda shows up. And this is a cool part because Manda, we've never saw Manda get to attack in Atragon.
Atragon, yeah.
I always want to call it Atragon. Atragon. So we actually kind of see Manda attack in this. And he like pulls down a railway train thing and he goes up the street. He just kind of slithers up the street. That's my impersonation of Manda. Yeah. You get a cool little shot of him coming up under this bridge here.
Yeah. Except didn't he have like some like catfish whiskers or something?
Yeah. He had like these little points on the back of his head like Rodan and catfish whiskers, but evidently that did not age well over in the couple of years. What's funny is 2 years before they used this Mando suit for an episode of Ultra Q, which was just before. I'm sorry, it was probably 66. So 3 years it was okay, and they used it for that. But between 66 and this, for some reason, they decided to get rid of that. They must have been damaged or something. They decided to get rid of it, and they smoothed over Amanda's look. Godzilla is just zapping up the whole place with his atomic breath, just being a nuisance. There we go. Amanda coming up under the bridge. Yeah, so he kind of just winds his way around the railway train bridge there, and he just pulls it down. His weight just pulls it down. Gravity, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla smashes a building just because it's in his way. I love that shot. They use that in the opening credits for Godzilla's Revenge, too. Where he smashes that one little building that's in his way. He just puts his fist through it. Damn you! You're in my way.
You can really in this scene alone, you can really tell that they've just upped the budget. I mean, there's this very detailed cityscape, and then the railroad track, not railroad track, the sort of elevated train, and you can see they spent some money on this one. Yeah, there's a nice little crane in the background. There's the general. He is played by Yoshifumi Tajima. He's in all these movies somewhere. You know, he plays ship captains. He plays bad guys. You know, he plays police officers. He's like, attack! that's the only word he says in the American version, the English version. Rodan, that's actually the actor on wires flying over the set. That's not usually they use, like, when he's flying, they use like a little mini Rodan model. But in this, that's the actual actor. And then they're flying him over with wires. Wow. You can see his whole body there, you know. Yes. So that's pretty impressive. Godzilla's looking up and he's seeing the other monsters. He looks over and he sees Mando. He doesn't care. He's in berserk mode. He's just destroying shit. Oh, sorry. Trying to keep it clean. And then Mothra shows up. Comes up out of the station there. Hey, you destroyed my train rail. Damn it. I was going to use that to glide over there. So it's 4 of them now attacking the same area. And there's nothing we can do. You know, we fire guns and tanks and missiles and stuff at these kaiju. They never learn. You know, that stuff doesn't work. Nope. So then Kyoko shows up at the UN building and says, "You're never going to win. The Kilaks are going to win, and you're going to be the slaves." And something like that. And Katsuo's like, "Oh yeah? Well, let me take these earrings out and let me rip these out of your ears and see how you feel about that." And yeah, there's actually some blood here, which you don't see a lot in the Godzilla movies. He just rips those bad boys right out of her ears. See, they were controlling her with these. You tore my earlobes apart. She doesn't say that. You would think she would, but she doesn't. No. Oh my God, they were controlling me. Yeah. Do you remember where the Keylog base is? I love the voice they use for this general in the dub, the English dub. It's terrible. It's like Nick Nolte playing a general. Yes. Vin Diesel, hey, where's the Keylog base, baby? She doesn't remember anything. That's the guy I remember. I was on Monster Island, and there's yellow gas. So they hop in the SY3, Katsuo. And he's like, "Hey, let's go back to the moon." For no apparent reason. Oh no, they're gonna go to Mount Fuji. That's what it is. And then Godzilla shows up, and they're like, "Okay, it must be somewhere here on Mount Fuji because Godzilla's protecting it. He's here, and so is Anguirus. They're protecting because here comes the tanks and stuff, and Anguirus. There's a nice little fight scene between Anguirus and the tanks where he's stepping on them and everything. By Anguirus.
I do a lot of kaiju impressions.
And quite well.
Thank you. This is Major Tada. A little midnight Tada. That's Tadi. Played by Hisaya Ito, and again, he's somewhere in all these Toho films. Usually, he's a scientist, he's a killer, he's whatever they need. Here, he's a major, and he's UN forces. He's controlling the tanks that are attacking, and unfortunately, his tanks and trucks and stuff are getting stomped on by Anguirus. Now, this is the first time we've seen Anguirus since Godzilla raids again. So it's the first time we're seeing him in color, and it's the first time we get to see him attack or go back and forth with the military. Also, there is a flying saucer, and the SY3 sees it, and they go after it. And notice it's bright orange color. And then Rodan shows up and attacks the SY3. They don't want them to find the Keylok base, but they know that with all this security, with all these monsters showing up, it's got to be here somewhere. It's got to be here on Mount Fuji somewhere.
I look at them in their little yellow outfits, and the only thing I can think of is minions.
That's it. The minions are kind of homage to destroy all monsters.
Yes.
So they decide to try a ground attack, and again, Godzilla's right there. Hey, I'm not letting you get close. Come on. And they accidentally find an opening to the Keylok. One of the Keylok's secret places, even though Godzilla's getting very close to them. Now, no mention of the fact that Godzilla's radioactive. Remember, we established like 2 films ago they stopped talking about Godzilla's radiation. So evidently he's not radioactive anymore, or they just decided we don't want to mess with that anymore. We don't want to beat that message into the ground. Okay, you guys bombed us. You made our cities radioactive. Thanks a lot. Here's Godzilla. They don't want to do that anymore, I guess. So Katsuo and Major Tada and some of the crew find this entrance. It goes down underground. And like, hey, let's check out this cave. This might be of interest to the Keylok base. One of them. They don't realize the Keyloks, are all over the place there. And sure enough, the Keylok show up. We're so glad you came so we can take over your vines. The hell you will. One of those moments,
No dames taking over my mind.
So they're wearing like red caps now instead of yellow outfits. They're wearing yellow blazers and red caps, which makes them look, like Japanese school kids. But Tada's cool. He's got a helmet on. Now this is Moonbase. The Moonbase is calling in. They're actually giving us some information. Some of the waves, that are controlling the monsters, was coming from that area. So that's, and that is actually Kenji Sahara playing Commander Nishikawa on the moon.
Right.
And again, he's in just about every Godzilla movie somewhere. Kenji Sahara is, I think, still alive too. So, this is the SY3, but for some reason it looks like it's on the moon.
Actually, I think they found a signal coming from the moon, and they thought that that's where the monsters were being controlled. And
they're being controlled from a spot on the moon. That's right. And they spotted a flying saucer there too.
Right, that's what they thought.
It's the same kind of flying saucer.
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
The SV or SY3 and
is landing. Okay,
Right.
so what has happened is I've just jumped in the timeline a little bit. They escape the Kelax. They get away. They shoot at them and they exit. They get in the SY3 and they go to the moon because they tell them on the moon, hey, we're getting signals from here that are controlling monsters. They're relaying back to the Earth to control the monsters. So they have gone there to try to find the machine that's controlling monsters so they can destroy it. As they land, fire starts to come out of the walls of this cavern, which makes it difficult. It's not easy. But as Steven Spielberg said, if you want your audience to, root for the good guys, you got to throw in all kinds of obstacles. And then a little homage to Lost in Space. They've got like a little chariot.
Right, yes.
That they can pop out of the SY3 in, a little tank there, mini tank. And they use the guns on the chariot to break a force field that is blocking or guarding the machine that's controlling the monsters. So they break the shield, and the moon Kelax, once they're exposed to the moon air, they shrivel up into little rocks. They're like little rock things. Or actually, the little slithery things that slither under the rocks. Which is kind of weird. Yeah, go back under the rocks where you came from. So they find the machine, and it's very impressive. And they use all of their power from the ship to laser the machine free to break it. But this is like, really tough, heavy-duty steel. I mean, they have to use all of the power that they have from the ship to laser this thing and break it free. And even the wires are catching fire because they're so hot. That's a theme song for that. That's a very long scene, actually. A lot longer than it should be. But anyway,
it does
just
go on for
that thing free,
Yeah.
Hey, look who's back on Monster Island, Kyoko. How's your ears? Her ears heal as fast as Donald Trump's. That's all I'm saying.
And her eyebrows are back to normal.
And her eyebrows are back to normal. I never noticed the thing about the eyebrows until now. You just saw it. That's really funny. She had evil eyebrows when they were controlling her. That is really funny. I never noticed that. I've watched this movie a zillion times. I never noticed her eyebrows are different afterwards and beforehand than they were when she's evil Kyoko.
Sometimes I notice. Sometimes I just notice weird little details like that.
That's insane. So anybody that's controlled by the Kelax, you're going to know it because they got evil eyebrows.
That's right. That's
right.
the tell.
So the SY3 gets out of there, and the place self-destructs, evidently. When you cut loose the machine, yeah. So Professor Yoshido talks to Katsuo and tells him that Monster Island's back to normal. The monsters are back to normal, and we are controlling them now. And they're going to go and destroy they're going to go looking for the base on Mount Fuji. And we have a news reporter here. Now, there is a guy who is a news reporter, a real news reporter in Japan, who actually is in all of the Toho films somewhere as a news reporter. He plays a news reporter in every film. But for some reason, he's not this guy. I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't give him this scene. But this guy's got some terrible dialogue in the English edit. Listen to the cries of the horror and the monsters. We're waiting now for the first monsters to show up. He's like a sportscaster here. And the first monster is it Godzilla? No, it's the son of Godzilla.
Clearly, they were trying to imitate what they think American news people sound like.
Oh, the horror, the horror. They got their video cameras out there in the middle of the Mount Fuji. So there's Minya. Minya was actually in a monitor, a TV monitor on Monster Island, but we didn't get an intro to him until this. Really, we don't see him himself until this, which is kind of that makes sense because it would kind of be weird if we saw Minya be an evil Minya because he's always nice. He's always a nice monster.
Yeah. Also, they also call him Milla.
Manila, yeah, I've seen it written that way in a lot of like websites and stuff. But Manila's in the Philippines,
right? Yes,
it's not Monster Island. That's the Philippines. No. They spell it a little differently. There was 2 L's in it.
Yes,
like Godzilla. But yeah, it's Minya. They call it Minya-san.
Right.
So even if it's spelled that way, it's pronounced Minya, and so the spelling here is M-I-N-Y-A, Minya. There's Gorosaurus showing up. As you know from King Kong Escapes, he's got a badass kick. He's got like a kangaroo kick that he does. It's really badass, and he uses that in the fight against King Ghidorah. It's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I remember this was before DVDs. Actually in VHS, we used to buy Super 8 movies, a 3-minute and 5-minute and 15-minute Super 8 movies of our favorite monster movies when we were kids. And I had one of this movie, and that was mostly this fight. And I remember that watching that kick, that super kick, over and over and over again with my Super 8 projector. There's Kumonga. Who's called Spiga, and this is Spiga, ladies and gentlemen. Spiga is here. The sports announcer. And then we see Manda and Baragon, but they look like little puppets on the horizon coming in. They really don't do much of anything. They're just there. Sit back and watch. They're like the cheerleaders. They just like sit back and watch the fight from afar. And I guess the reason is they probably only had so much money to pay suit actors to play these characters. So they had to have a certain amount of characters, but I guess they kind of when you see them on like Monster Island, it's a suit actor that was probably playing something else in this scene, playing them in that scene, Right. Like for instance, Haru Nakajima, who plays Godzilla, also played Baragon in Frankenstein Conquers the World. So he's probably doing Baragon on the scenes on Monster Island, where we see like the intro. And we are not introduced to Baragon on Monster Island in the beginning. We just see a shot of him that looks like it was set up for that at the end of the film. And it's the same with Manda. It's supposed to be an intro shot, but they decided to use it at the end of the film to use a different shot, I guess. And those scenes are also used in like Godzilla's Revenge and other stuff when they're talking about Monster Island. So all of a sudden, King Ghidorah shows up. And it's the introduction to King Ghidorah that we got from Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, where he just kind of forms out of a fireball in the sky. It's King Ghidorah. The Kelex must be controlling him. No shit. Really? Sorry. This show's not for kids, folks. I try not to. I really do. But, sometimes it gets out of me. And in those yellow suits, how can you take them seriously? Yellow tracks. They look like Egghead. Yellow and white.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I am the Eggman. They are the Eggman. We're on Monster Island. Goo goo goo.
They look like a Olympic track team or something.
That's it. It's windbreakers. Hi, we're the Kelex again, and we are coming back to you. And they got one guy that's still in their control back in the back there. Yeah, this guy's he's not gonna make it through the end of the movie. We're going to kill all your monsters now with King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah is very powerful. Yes, we know that he was destroyed by Godzilla and Rodan in the last movie, but But he was certain he's going to kill all your monsters now, and they're out of control. They're not thinking. Look at the looks on their face. Like, is she serious? Godzilla and Rodan alone can take out King Ghidorah. Wait a minute, we got like 12 monsters. They look actually worried. So King Ghidorah flies in, and this actually is new footage they shot of King Ghidorah flying in. And you can see he got a new paint job. They've touched him up. Godzilla looks really good in this movie. This is the 1968 version of the Godzilla suit. They decided, after Son of Godzilla, that little head, they decided to redo the suit and make it look cooler. And they kind of went back to towards Godzilla versus the Sea Monster look, but a little meaner looking. And this is my favorite suit, I think. I have to say this is my favorite Showa suit. Because they used it in this. They used it in Godzilla's Revenge. They used it in Godzilla versus Hedorah. And they used it in Godzilla versus Gigan. So they got... This suit is in more films than any other Godzilla suit. The 68. And all the monsters are watching as King Ghidorah flies over. It's King Ghidorah. Which monster is he going to fight first? Terrible news reporter.
Now is this a man in a suit?
Yes.
Is he wired?
Being suspended on wires. Yes. And the guy actually has to, in the suit, has to fold his arms like this. So he has no arm control at all. They have to control the wings and the tails and the heads with wires. So he's just kind of sitting there, inside the suit like that. So that's got to be scary to be suspended over a set.
Yes.
But there it is. And I'm pretty sure the same suit actor played King Ghidorah in all the early films. And again, in the later films like Gigan, they always used like a model for him flying. So the actor didn't have to be suspended by wires over sets like this. They just showed him, on his 2 feet. But I bet they've got lots of footage of this poor guy falling over. He loses his balance and falls over. Mm-hmm. Now, those King Ghidorah faces look a little different from the ones we saw before. So this might be actually footage from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Maybe. I'm not sure. So Ghidorah starts to zap at the monsters. Ghidorah's got a kind of a Kukla Fran and Ollie look about him. Little fuzzy chops on the side.
Yes.
Oh, which one was the little dragon? Fran. I don't think it was Ollie.
I believe
it was Kukla, I think, right?
I think it was Kukla, yeah.
It was the little dragon. He's zapping, and they're trying to get close, and he keeps zapping them away. And King Ghidorah's trying to show his power, but he's way outgunned here. The Keelak should have known that, but he is way outgunned. Because the minute he's zapping at one, somebody's coming up on his rear end. Godzilla's signaling to the team. He's signaling to Gorosaurus, hey, go over to the other side. Anguirus is going to make an attack at one of his necks in a minute. Mothra and, of course, Spaiga, Kumunga, are shooting their web on him because, hey, that's the easiest way to take out a big monster, a big kaiju, is to web him up so he can't move. But King Ghidorah is throwing him all over the place, and he's trying to show his might.
Godzilla is like pounding on his back. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, he turned his backside to Godzilla like a cat does. I'm going to show you my ass. This is where Anguirus bites one of his necks, and Ghidorah does, what any kaiju that could fly would do. He takes off with Anguirus hanging off of his neck. And this shot was reused again in Godzilla versus Gigan. except they darkened it, so because it's supposed to be at night. And Angrius, he bites Angrius' neck, and Angrius has to let go, and he falls, he crashes, but he lands on his back, so no problem. Ow. That's kind of smart. But in doing so, he uncovers the Keylak secret base there.
Mm-hmm.
The tremor from when he hits the ground, actually, there's a nice shot of Ghidorah flying in towards the camera to stomp on Anguillus, who's trying to get up out of the hole he just made. And he stomps him. Listen to the horror, the sound of the monster's horror cries. It's just terrible. The two guys behind him are like, I just sold myself. Let's get out of here. It's like news guys in a hurricane, you know? It's like, you really don't need to be that close.
Exactly.
Aren't these monsters radioactive? Wait a minute. Not mentioned. So as Ghidorah is showing off, the monsters close in again, and again they surround him, which is cool. And Godzilla finally gets his hands around a couple of necks there, and that means the other monsters can move in, start biting. And there's the famous kick, that kangaroo kick from that kicks him down to the ground. From Gorosaurus. The only reason he's in this film is to make that kick. And of course it's done with wires, they allow the actor to levitate so he can kick. And then Anguirus moves in. He's already shaken off the fall. And they start stomping Ghidorah's necks. It's like, uh-oh, this ain't gonna last much longer. His blood coming out, but it's the smoke that kills him. The coup de grace is Minya firing one of his blue smoke rings around Ghidorah's neck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Instant cancer.
Exactly.
Now, what's called a fire dragon flies out of the sky and burns Rodan and causes Rodan to fall. But as we know from earlier, it's actually one of the Keylak saucers. It's just all hot. It's burning up. And it goes through a building just to show how mighty and powerful and destructive it is. And the Keylaks come back on and say, our fire dragon will destroy all your monsters. You prepare to give up to us and become our slaves. But then we get a great reaction shot when Godzilla puts his foot through their to their front door. So yeah, Godzilla's firing his atomic breath at the dome there.
I was a little confused at first. He shoots his atomic breath at the dome. Doesn't seem to do anything, and then he just stomps through it. But now I realize, the atomic breath weakened it. That's why he's able to.
I guess so.
I think that's my explanation.
I'm going to put my foot through this thing, damn it. And that's what he does. And of course, when they're exposed to the, what the hell? And when they're exposed to the air. Do we run out of slides or something?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, no, there they go.
Oh, wait, nope. There we go.
They're crawling under their rocks.
There were just some black slides in there, but we move on,
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, they crawl.
So we see the little tail end of the little slithery things going up under the rocks again. That's right. They're going back under the rocks where they came from. Those nasty Keylogs.
Now, it's established that these Keylogs thrive on heat, which is why they wanted to be under Mount Fuji. And that the cold affects them, freezes them, but we never see them. Or in fact, one of the generals or somebody mentions, "Oh, well, we could use our freezing ray." They never do that. So we really don't know what happens to these.
Yeah, you put enough heat on them, they might come back.
Yes.
We'll be back to control your monsters again. Then we see that it's a flying saucer, and it's kind of wobbling around because it's not controlled anymore. There's nowhere to go, what to do. And then the SY3 zaps it and destroys it. Because we have to do something in this film. Godzilla can attack only so much. We have to have power too. So that makes, hey, yay, that gives them something to cheer about. Yay. And again, most of these guys were in Son of Godzilla on the island as part of the experiment. Anyway, that was last week. So we cut to a helicopter piloted by Dr. Yoshida. And they look down on Monster Island, and we get a little goodbye, a little outro showing the monsters back on Monster Island doing their thing. And there's Varan. Again, he doesn't really do much except fly around, but they show Varan a couple of times. There's Baragon and Manda. And there's Godzilla and Minya. Da, na, 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 da, na, 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 da. There it is. So that's the end. They didn't drop all the monsters in the ocean, which is good.
No.
Can't do that every picture. They try. Can't do that every picture. So there it is. That's Destroy All Monsters. Look at that. We're at 58 minutes. By gosh, we did an hour-long show. We didn't go overtime. So next time, we will be doing The Return, Godzilla's Revenge. All monsters, not all monsters attack. Something like that. Anyway, Godzilla's Revenge in America. That's the title of it here. So we're going to be doing that one next Tuesday. So please join us for that. I don't know if we're going to have a special guest. Maybe. I hope so. It'll be nice.
You never know. Sometimes we get wonderful guests all the time.
Yeah, there's a lot of kaiju people out there. So I keep hoping that people will contact us and say, hey, can I do that show with you? So if you are a kaiju enthusiast and you want to be on the show, contact us. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook, TikTok. Just connect to us and let us know you want to be on the show. And we'll try to work it out. We'll get some press photos of you and put them in our ads. All right. Well, thank you, Professor Wallnott, for your input. Thank you, Anastasia, for staying on screen a lot longer this time than you usually did.
It's my pleasure. I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd comment a little more, but especially on this one. But maybe next time.
Next time I'll get there. Yes.
All right. You guys take care, and we will see you next time on Roland Pruitt's Kaiju Review.
Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. Thanks.